Hey, welcome to Pat's Soundbytes IGTV. Keeping new music alive is what I do on the radio and now on video. Conducting live chats with the artists and learning the stories behind their latest release and also playing their new video. A very special thank you to my friend Hadley at Chipster PR and Consulting for scheduling and coordinating today's guest. Chipster PR and Consulting Incorporated is a highly sought-after, internationally renowned publicity, marketing, and consulting firm in the music industry. For more information, you can email Hadley or Chip at info@chipsterpr.com or phone 484-932-8951. Special thanks today to my sponsor, Go-Go Tuners. For all guitar players looking for a focus on ease of use, readability, durability, and accuracy, look no further. The Go-Go Tuner is the choice of many touring professionals and a favorite of casual players. Go-Go's signature green you're in and red you're out screen makes tuning quick and easy. For more information, go to the website at gogotuners.com. Special thanks to WBXO Classic Rock Radio Redefined, allowing me to keep new music alive on the radio airways on the Pat Show every Sunday from 5 to 8 Eastern Standard Time. Only on WBXO Classic Rock Redefined. And a big thank you to Mr. Evan Balzer for allowing me to use his amazing instrumental that you're hearing right now. It's called Trails. To find out more incredible music by Evan, go to his website at evanbalzer.com. And today's special guest is legendary rock keyboardist Mr. Mark Mangold of American Tears. What an incredible singer and songwriter as well. American Tears released their third album since 2018. It's entitled Free Angel Express. And it's a train you need to get on because it rocks. We're going to talk to Mark about this incredible album. We're going to play the video, Sledgehammered, and a whole lot more right here on Pat Soundbytes IGTV. Hey, live on Pat Soundbytes IGTV, keeping new music alive on the radio and on video. And man, am I excited today. Another great show. Fasten your seatbelts. The American Tears train is on fire, is back, is rolling, and Free Angel Express is coming to a station near you, and you better pop on board. I am blessed and honored to have the opportunity to talk to this guy, singer, songwriter, incredible keyboardist, great hits, great bands. Oh my God, Touch, Drive, she said. I mean, I used to have black hair back in the day. Love this guy. Love his band. From Stockholm today, Mark Mangold. Mark, thank you so much for your time and congratulations.
Great to be here. Great to be here.
Man, congratulations on bringing back American Tears, which a lot of us old timers have certainly grew up and missed. And I love the new album, Free Angel Express. Been playing the crap out of Sledgehammered. I love Glass. I got to tell you.
Okay.
Glass has made a connection to me. Maybe could be the number 2 single in the, but the whole thing just rocks. So great to have you on board. Thank you for joining. Mark was a man from the island of Long. He knows the New York thing, and he knows Poughkeepsie, the chance, right?
Yeah.
So how you make it out? How are you, your family, hanging out in Stockholm and dealing with this whole COVID thing? Obviously, you're a busy guy.
It's fucked up. It's terrible. You know, unfortunately for me, I guess, and everybody else, the U.S. is not doing great in the battle against this virus, though many, many other countries are. Sweden has basically kicked its ass. It's not really a problem here, but the problem is going back there. And my significant other is Swedish, so she now has trouble getting back in to the States. And the question is, if I go to the States, can I get back into Sweden? It's a whole mess. Plus, the whole paperwork thing in the U.S. is also pretty antiquated too. So it's just not a good situation. I miss my family a lot. My daughter, my goddaughter, I got 2 grandkids now, a 6-month-old grandson.
Oh, congratulations. Awesome.
Thank you. Who I've seen once from 20 feet away when I was in New York. So it's just really very hard to get used to.
Yeah, I know. And who would ever think? I mean, I'm so used to interviews by phone, and now we're doing this Zoom thing and more technology. And even though I got no pants on. No, I'm only kidding. I mean,
that's my joke.
It's crazy, but it's great to finally.
It's weird to start off with politics and border control. But I don't know. You asked, so
yeah, no.
Yeah.
It's interesting to hear how other countries are dealing with it, and glad that you're okay. And in New York, I leave my office here. I barely go to the store. I let my wife handle all that. I'm doing everything to avoid any of that.
But yeah, me too. Yeah,
glad that you are good. Mark, let me just start, man. I've been a big fan. And when I got the email going, you want to talk to Mark? I'm like, are you nuts? I mean, you've been kicking ass and taking names for a long time. And I got to say, I really don't think you get the recognition that you deserve. And that's got nothing to do with you, with Michael Bolton and writing great hits. Just the creativity of American Tears and Touch. I mean, nobody says, hey, let's do a trio with keyboards. I mean, it was stunning when Yes came out with Roundabout. And it was like, a 13-minute song, and radio would never even like, what are you, crazy? It's got to be like 3 minutes or we don't play it. And I'm happy somebody kicked the wall down, and your creativity is just through the roof. And I applaud you for it.
Thank you. Well, Yes was pop for a while, and those bands, they became pop. And now I guess they're by definition prog. But I don't know what prog is. I don't know what pop is. In those days, everybody was really trying to carve out a sound, whether it was Led Zeppelin or Jethro Tull or Yes or whoever, Gentle Giant or everybody. And the bands I was in were also trying to have our signature thing. And so really it's just that mentality that is kind of behind American Tears. And if a synth solo takes 10 minutes,
so be it.
Or if you had coffee and it's 4 minutes, it depends on your mood. You let it go until your instincts tell you to stop, or we're not relying on formula of the pop song. We get to a part and it's what do we do from here? And with infinite choices, being a keyboard player, you could have elephant sounds, which we did on a song, or you could, have an organ solo. So it's really kind of, you have to get deeper into your creativity and not fall back on that safety net of formula. So it's a lot of fun, and I wish more people did more of it.
No, I agree. Excuse my French. Fuck that formula. Fuck these genres. To me, you created keyboard rock. I know.
And yet you said you like Glass, which is probably the one formula song on it, because it's a cool song and I want it. And that's maybe the one pop thing, but people do understand that formula, in the repetition, you're going to hear the chorus again. It is comforting at point, but it's also much more fun, I think, to be on the edge and wonder what's going to come next. What are they going to do next? So a little bit of both.
I totally agree. I maybe got a soft heart for some of when you're used to hearing the stuff, but I agree with you. No formula. If you went on for 25 minutes, you go on for 25 minutes. Like, what did I write down before?
Well, now you're talking about Gentle Giant. I mean, like,
Well, even like Set It On Fire. I love songs that stop.
Thank you.
And pick up.
Thank you.
Then take off again. And I just love that crap.
That's great. It's just an energy. It's just a flow of energy and just communicating emotion. And it's just how you're feeling and how I'm feeling. And then I guess it translates to trying to make other feel that transition, and it picks up and it comes down, and then it
I
gets
love it. I love
lush and mellotrons. And, you know, I love using the mellotrons and the strings and all these, and of course the Hammond organ. So coming
I
back
mean,
to
the
that.
sound is you could be there all day. Were you the first one, or I mean, I interviewed and met Edgar Winter, and I think Edgar said he was the first one that came out with the keyboard like guitar.
Oh, no.
Were you there? You were there back then too.
Sure. I mean,
Yeah.
Edgar wasn't first. I mean, anybody who claimed that they did that first is just, you know, I love Edgar. He actually played sax on a record, you know, on the Second Touch record. He actually played sax, but great guy. But I don't think anybody can claim that they own that.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people were trying to do it back then. I actually,
Yeah, because you're like trapped in and you want to get out and feel the energy and run around.
I cut a mini Moog in half, which is sacrilege. But actually, there was a Voyager.
No formula, no rules. Wait a minute, I'm going to try this.
There was a instrument called the Voyager, which is this guy, amazing inventor, made the Voyager, the cat. And that actually had a separate keyboard with a wire, MIDI wire. But before that, I was desperate and I cut the mini Moog in half. And there's so many wires on the mini Moog. I went and I got an airplane cable. That's the only people who made cables it was like for a Boeing 707 or something. It had like maybe 30 wires in there. And we hooked that up and we screwed it into the side of the keyboard, which I made a separate box for. And it was only about 13 feet because you couldn't go that long because the current would dissipate in a way.
Gotcha.
So that was what we did very, very early on. And probably that was over Holland, probably a 68, 69 or something like that. So we tried, you know, we didn't want to be, you know, so locked behind it, but it's always also very comfortable to be behind a Hammond organ. It's just a nice place to be, you know. You get back there, it's a very tactile experience. You have all these keyboards and foot pedals, and it's like home.
Well, set it on fire. I even got like I close my eyes and I just crank it up and I just put on the headset.
I'm so happy because I do that too. I love the sound of that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great, but I don't know. I just felt like the more I listen to it, I find another love and another track, but I can play it all. So, and my people call me going, who was that? And where did you get that? And, I mean, I found the niche, Mark, that anybody can play the hits, obviously, which is great. But when you play new music and you're doing your best to get it out there, there's so much great music and people are like oblivious to it. So I'm happy I'm the guy and, you know, kick off and take.
You know, I'm a big fan of Zeppelin and of course, you know, Deep Purple and on Not For Nothing, we did kind of a Zeppy riff. Everything's done in the Hammond. So my crusade since beginning of American Tears, I don't know why, was to do with keyboards. You know, a Hammond can do that guitar riff. So I'm forever, you know, coming up with guitar riffs and then playing them in the Hammond. So instantly it becomes something different. And like Not For Nothing is kind of a guitar riff. It's a little in the vein of Black Dog, meaning it doesn't have any time.
Right.
I mean, there's no time in there. I mean,
who would have ever thought Jimmy Page is standing there with a violin bow on a guitar, and you're thinking, you know, if you don't see it, what is that? You know, is he playing an organ? Is this like a Deep Purple thing? But it's not. Like you said, you could create anything behind your Hammond 3 and your Moog and everything that you have.
And the thing about Not For Nothing is what I'm proud of. I mean, I know drummers who count Black Dog. There's like a couple 16th notes in there that trick everybody. But with Not For Nothing, there is no time. It's just played purely from the heart. So you can't count it. And in early bands, I had to stare at the drummer because not all drummers have great time. So I made it a habit in the early days. It was me and the drummer. I would stare at the hi-hat.
Gotcha.
there was a communication going. So if they fuck up, I'm there. And there's a lot of that in Not For Nothing. It's purely organic, tight with the drummer. And I dare anybody to count that. When I played it with Alex, great drummer, it was like, let me count that. Oh, there's a 30-second note in there. Next time you left it out, you son of a bitch. It's like, no. And then, you know, he didn't want me to change it, but he would have been happy if I changed it. And you know, I don't know what we'll do live, but we didn't change it. We just kept it whatever it was, which
Perfect.
was just played.
Exactly.
This is it.
Just play.
So yeah, that was fun.
Mark, let me just take you back a few years. How did it all start with you? Was it a family member? Did you watch the Beatles? Where did you get the, like, I want to do that moment that you knew music was going to be your career? Like, no doubt. I know you started at a young age, like somebody said like 12 or something. You were like 16. You were out there full born.
You say the word career, you know, you don't know it's going to be a career. You just love it. I mean, my older brother, who's 4 years older than me, would bring back music for me to hear. He brought Bo Diddley. It was like, he brought me Jimmy Smith. He brought the first Elvis, Hound Dog. So he was feeding me stuff. And I started off on the drums, and I was in, you know, when I was in high school, I was in a band. And then I just really got into keyboards. But we were playing at a club with this band I was in, and we got a call and got asked to do a record, and that was Valhalla. So you don't know what's going to happen. But once that happened, it gets to be addictive. You know, you get the bug and you keep creating. And then it was American Tears. It's actually the same people that were handling Valhalla stuck with me, thank goodness. And we did American Tears, and that evolved into Touch and blah, blah, blah. But you just keep your fingers crossed that you can make some sort of living out of it. But you don't know that it's really kind of an obsession. You know, you don't know that you can do that. And sometimes you can't. Sometimes you got to get a day job, and you do that. So,
did you take lessons at all with the drums, with the keys? Or it was just, you like, I got it by ear and I just
it was ear. You know, fortunately we had a piano in my house. So I used to play that piano, and I started off with a Lowry organ. Then I saved up and got my beautiful blonde C3 Hammond. And when a keyboard was invented, because they didn't exist. The Mini Moog was monophonic, it had one note. The ARP Odyssey was monophonic, it had one note. So as a keyboard player, you're waiting for the stuff to be invented. And then the ARP strings were invented, which was polyphonic. And, you know, Gary Wright did a lot with that, with Dreamweaver and everything like that. So every time something was invented, we'd, get it. And now that everything's polyphonic, it is just wonderful. But we were kind of waiting for the stuff to be invented in a way.
Where did you get the idea of the trio with the keyboard? I mean, you got to be the first one that says, "Hey, we're attacking."
For some reason, I've really just been dedicated to this keyboard crusade. I have no idea.
Were people always trying to put your band, like American Tears, something like an ELP or
a little bit,
Yes, or
This was, some of it was before Yes, some of it was, at the time of Yes. Now, if you have a grindy Hammond, it's John Lord. I mean, that's John Lord. But everybody was doing it kind of. I used to live 15 minutes away from this place called the Action House. You know the Action House?
No, I do not.
That's where the Rascals started. That's where Vanilla Fudge started.
Ah, my man, Carmine.
I mean, the Vagrants, the Illusion, all those bands were playing at the Action House, and they were all Hammond organ. And I was in a band called the Gathering Storm then, and that had an influence on me. But it was just an amazing place to be. Billy Joel would play there when he was in Attila, and then he was in the Hassles. He was in a couple of bands, local Long Island bands. But what a great, fertile musical stomping ground to grow up in. So I was kind of fortunate to be surrounded in it.
I'll have to mention that to Carmine. Carmine calls me every Thursday. So
no shit.
Yep, he calls me. I am one of 11 DJs around the country that he calls and just says, "Hey, this is what I'm working on. What's going on, brother?" He calls me.
Mention the Action House.
I definitely will do that.
He'll do 20 minutes on the Action House. That was where it was all happening. I mean,
Mark says you remember the Action House. Come on, tell me about this.
Yeah,
place.
I mean, it would be Vanilla Fudge, Keep Me Hanging On, and then the Rascals would headline, and the Vagrants would be opening up. You know the Vagrants with Leslie West's first band?
Oh yeah. Before Mountain.
Before Mountain was. Yeah. He and his brothers were the Vagrants, all on Atlantic Records. What a night! It was insane.
And then you got this band Touch, and everybody fell in love with Touch. And I'm like, I said, I got to ask about Touch. Holy crap. That was such a great band. And
thank you.
I'm like, what? Where did it go? What happened? No. And you just made my day even more explosive when you said, and I'll share with everybody, that Mark has already announced that Touch has a new album coming out. And I'm like, Christmas this year sucks. But musically, this is awesome. So talk to me about Touch and talk to me about.
I just posted our first mix called Tomorrow Never Comes. I'll send it to you.
Yes, please.
It's been getting really nice response on YouTube. I didn't know so many people were kind of waiting. Like in 2 days, we got like 2,000 views on YouTube. It's like,
oh yeah.
Where are these people? Japan. I mean, all over the world. So I will send that to you. Please, spread that news.
Yeah. When we're done, I'll give you my email and everything. But I would love to hear.
We're very proud of that. Well, the thing about Touch is, it was the same band basically on the Third American Tears record as Touch was. We got kicked off of Columbia. We renamed ourselves. I mean, Doug Howard joined the band, and we changed the name of the band to Touch. But it was such a joy to have three really good singers in the band.
I was going to say the harmonies were out of sight. It
was really rebelling against doing 3 records with me singing alone, playing keyboards, no help from those fucking guys. They played, and virtuoso players for sure. But it was very, lonely in terms of generating all that sound. And then it was Touch, and the pendulum swung. It was like, okay, guitars, harmonies, 70 tracks of harmonies, we're just going to go in the opposite direction. So, and fortunately, everybody's still singing and playing great. Craig has not been singing for a while, so he has maintained his voice.
Wow.
Well, some guys lose their voice, but all these years later, I'd say he's singing better than ever. He's hitting. If you listen to the song I just posted, Tomorrow Never Comes, it starts off with like a high G, which is like, in bird world. So he still can do it. So he's still singing very well.
How are you taking care of? I always ask the Paul Rogers, the Glenn Hughes, the Mark Slaughters, great vocalists out there. How do you prevent any injuries with your voice?
Those are real singers. I'm not a real singer.
Oh, come on. Are you kidding me?
I'm just faking it and getting by. Really.
I'm just faking it. Are you nuts?
I am, again, my goal is to, just communicate emotion. I am shocked that people can tolerate my voice.
Oh, no, dude.
Thanks. I'm not begging for a compliment. I just, I did the first record, Hardcore, a couple of years ago, and it actually, people were digging it. It's like, really? I can get away with this shit.
Somebody else take over the keyboard. I'm just going to be the singer.
Well, no,
you wouldn't do that.
Not that, but when you rely on a singer, it's really kind of you're giving up, you're relying on a lot. If somebody's singing your songs and whatever happens, they get sick of your stuff, or they, God forbid, pass away, or they, whatever happens to them, or they
Well,
go into rehab, or
that's
whatever the, your life is hanging and relying on that other person.
yeah, no, that's a whole different challenge. You write great hits, and then you go, here you go. And they got to believe in it. They got to feel it. They got to love it. Then they go, well, let's try this, try that. It's really not their baby. It's yours.
Well,
So
I
I
was
get
blessed
that.
I was blessed to work with Al Fritsch. We did 6 records with Drive, she said. And of course, Craig's awesome. And I'm a slave to his songs. He wrote a couple on this new record, and he's a slave to my songs. I mean, it's reciprocal, and you kind of do with the other person. You kind of, become their vehicle in a way. And that's kind of the give and take of it all. But I would love to have a high range like Ian Gillan, or David Coverdale. I mean, that's what I'm missing in my voice, is that, what? I could kind of fake it, but God and DNA did not give me that. So
Well,
I just convey emotion and have my, I don't know. I think I make up for that lack of Michael Bolton resonance with my emotion in some sort of way.
it's
But
amazing.
I wish I had that.
It amazes me. I got to hang. In fact, I interviewed Paul, and it was my birthday. He sang me happy birthday.
He is basically my favorite. Paul Rogers.
He is like, I said, Paul, how do you do that? And he said, lots of sleep, obviously no drinking, none of that crap, and working out, and lots of sleep and lots of water. And what a terrific, I mean, Velvet. I'm like, Paul, this is like insane listening to you. Just a totally amazing. You mentioned Michael Bolton. How did you hook up with that guy? And how did you come up with this creativity of what a connection of writing great songs? Again, I don't think you get enough credit for the work that you have put out there throughout your career when it first started.
Well, thank you. With Michael, Louis Levin, his manager, was into touch. And I got a call from Louis one day. He's like, do you want to work with Michael? This was before Michael had his deal on Columbia. And we wrote Fool's Game, and that happened. But I must say, there was a place in New York City called the China Club. You know the China Club?
I don't, but I've heard of it.
And Nirvana, and there were hangs, and everybody was at the China Club. And Thursday nights there was a jam at Nirvana, and it could be David Bowie or Mick Jagger or Michael Bolton or the guys from Danger Danger. That's how I met Aldo Nova at China Club, actually. And in like 2 nights, I met guys that gave me like 3 years of work. I met Michael one night there, and then I bumped into Aldo, and I wrote a bunch of stuff and went up to Canada and worked with Aldo. So it was something that doesn't exist anymore. A go-to hang where you know that these people of like mind are going to be hanging. It was beautiful. It was mind-blowing. It just doesn't exist anymore.
But I see this whole trend of super groups. Everybody, there's a bunch of them that guys are just merging with other guys and just coming out with different creativity of, I mean, Black Swan, Robin McCauley, and Jeff Pilson, and Reb Beach, and Matt Starr, 4 accomplished guys, but come together, and you got Black Swan. I mean, the whole Frontier, I'm sure you're familiar with the whole Frontier music, and a lot of that, and I'm like, wow. But the sad part about it is
Serafino loves to put that stuff together.
I mean, I love that, but I want to see the tour. And when you got Jack Blades and Doug Aldrich and Dean Casanova of their group, Revolution Saints, everybody's doing their own thing, and you're never going to see that. I mean, it's a quick, I don't want to say it's a quick money maker, but it sounds like more of a quick money maker. They write great music, all of them, but it just there's a lot of that going on today. But I mean, with
I
Craig
don't know how
Glenn,
I don't know how much of a moneymaker it is. I mean, the genre is very limited. It's very hard. It's way different than it used to be. So it's definitely a creative endeavor that they're enjoying the process as well. And then you kind of put it out, and there are those people who gravitate towards it, but it's almost like a cult. It's almost like a cult, and a lot of it. Yeah, Serafino is, Serafino put together this band, The Sign, that I was in with Terry Brock from Strange Ways and Bobby Rondinelli played drums, and Randy Jackson from
Oh,
Zebra.
you had a hit. You had
And
something.
Billy Greer from Kansas, I got to say, Billy. So,
Oh my God, Billy's great.
and that
What
was
a bass
Serafino who put us together. We did 2 records,
wow.
and it's really a great record. I hope
What's the track I'm thinking? There's a track that went on, I don't know if MTV, or there's a track that Sound Sign that that band put out. Oh my God, I can't think. I'll think of it after we get off the thing. But and then Drive, she said. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, yeah, I'm listening.
Drive, she said. Where did that name come from? Drive, she said. I'm thinking of different things, but that's a cool name.
Al used to have a great explanation for it on stage. First it was Drive, and then a friend of mine who's actually a video director, Martin Kahan, who's did like the first Bon Jovi, a lot of videos. He said, Drive is boring, man. So why don't you call it Drive, she said. Oh, okay. So we called it Drive, she said. That was it.
That's cool. Think of, what is it? Think of Love, Real Life. There's a bunch of real good stuff there with that thing. That's great. And then you did your own solo thing. I got Lift, Mystic Healer. Was that your second one?
Mystic Healer was with
If
Todd
You Ever
Dugan.
Fall. I remember that. If You Ever Fall, right?
That's John Noram's sister, actually, Tona Noram.
Okay.
Oh, that's right. Mystic Healer did that as well. But the first person to release that was Tona Noram in Europe. And Mystic Healer decided to do that as well. That was Todd Dugan singing. Great singer.
Great singer.
Yeah.
And your first one was Lift. I mean, what made you said, look, I'm going to do my own thing compared to, a band thing? Did you just want to just try it out and say, look, what can I do here?
That was, I'd say, more piano oriented. I really just was deep into the piano, and what's his name? Mark Cohen and those guys. So it was a bit of a right turn. But at the time, it was kind of a bit more what was happening. Maybe it was even Bruce Springsteen and long, kind of folky kind of songs as well. So that was an interesting time.
Where do you find your inspiration, Mark, when it comes to songwriting? Forget Michael, just your own. When you're behind the Hammond, where does it come from? Does it start with you're playing a chord on the keys, or you're thinking of a sound, or you're writing lyrics down? How does it all start for you?
Every which way. Yeah, every conceivable way. Sometimes, you're playing. This morning I woke up and I had a melody in my head. I heard it. It's like, what is that? It was original. I recorded it this morning. I don't know where it came from. That happens sometimes. Sometimes you dream something. Sometimes you just come up with a lick. You're playing an instrument. Sometimes you're fooling around a synth, and there's a sound in the synth, and all of a sudden these sounds kind of really provoke you to play certain things that you might not have played had you not been hearing that sound coming out of an instrument. So that becomes something. And a bunch of the American Tear stuff is like that. It'll be stumbling over a sound, and then it turns into something else. And of course, the Hammond organ is just a beautiful, beautiful sound. But sometimes it's weird. Okay, I'll have a dream, and I'm in the audience watching a band on stage. It was with the Stones once, and I'm hearing the song, and then at a certain point in your dream, you realize, holy shit, I'm thinking of the song. This is my dream. This is a great song. And then you kind of, you know, where's my little tape recorder? I have a little tape recorder, and you mumble into your tape recorder, and you have no idea what you were singing in the morning. And you try to remember it, but a lot of it, it just happens every way, every which way. And I kind of believe that you're channeling from another place, sometimes another dimension. Sometimes I feel it's a gift from somewhere. Sometimes I feel maybe it's some frustrated, deceased musician who's looking around, how can I get my shit out there?
There's a guy right there. Wait, that guy.
You know, I mean, there's, you know, Eddie Van Halen, let me get it to him. He's going to get it out the best he can. And then there's this, you know, asshole Mark Mangold. He's got a hit. He's really dedicated. He's almost obsessed, but, you know, so.
I know if I eat ice cream before midnight, before I go to bed, I'm in La La Land dealing with all these people. And I get to the point where I'm at a business meeting and I go, hey, before you go, can I get your business card? Because I want to bring it back. And the minute he gives me the card, I go, I'm trying to grab it. I wake up and my wife's like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like,
I totally believe. For me, it's pizza and, you know, spicy food.
Oh, okay.
And I say that to my
me is all dairy.
My girlfriend's sitting right over there, and I said, "You had weird dreams." I said, "Yeah, pizza last night."
But me is always ice cream or some dairy.
They say the sleep is less deep when you're having some of these stimulus things. So you're just in touch with what's going on. It's not that you're having different dreams; it's that you're somehow just in touch with them a little bit.
I just want to know who these people are. You know, my parents passed years ago, and once in a while, you know, I'm like, is that my mother? But I don't know who these people are. I have no idea.
It will be revealed. It
will be revealed. You mentioned the great Eddie Van Halen. Did you ever get a chance to work with Eddie at all or meet Eddie?
No, I didn't.
Was it like crazy as you? I mean, I know you're the organ guy and the keyboard guy, but I got to say, the first time I heard Eruption, I go, what is that? I'm like, who is this?
You and a lot of people. I mean, I've seen so many articles now about Eruption. It's amazing. Yeah, of course I respected it. And what's really cool is there are some guitar plugins that are happening now that a keyboard player can play that sound exactly like a guitar. So it's a good day.
Well, Carmine was telling me Eddie was a big fan of his band Cactus. And if you listen to Cactus with Jim McCarty, you hear, what's his song? Let 'Em Swim is like the beginning of Eruption, or you hear Parchman's Farm, and you hear like, you can hear that Hot for Teacher, you know, but again, you got to go back to really get into it. And only a guy like Carmine would know that, you know, been around forever. So
a guy I know in Sweden, Tommy Denander, who's probably maybe one of the most popular guitarist in Sweden. Huge fan of Eddie Van Halen, and he just has a video out now. He met Eddie when he was like 15 and 16 and snuck into the hotel and became a fan, and then became friends with the band. And Tommy's guitar playing is very much Eddie Van Halen. He really made it his life's work to be able to do that stuff. But now everybody's kind of emulating that.
Right.
A lot of people are scathing in the hammer-ons, and it's almost like there might be a little too much of it going on. You know,
I talked to Mitch Perry the other day, and Mitch goes, there's not one guitarist that's exempt from a bit of Eddie Van Halen or Randy Rhoads or even Jimi Hendrix. Everybody has a touch. I mean, they're watching. I mean, can you imagine having YouTube back in 1970, Mark, where you could like watch what they're actually doing compared to going to the show and putting the needle down back on the record and playing it again until you got it right.
They have tutorials now, how to play that Eruption solo. There's got to be 5 or 6 tutorials on YouTube, and they go through every note. And this one, you do that, and the tablature, and all that kind of stuff. But I have fun doing it on the keyboards, and it just sounds totally different.
Do you do
So,
any master classes on keyboards and give out lessons, Mark?
no.
Well, I just figured I ask.
No, I wouldn't know where to begin. I would say, relax, motherfucker. Just chill out. Stop judging yourself. Try to tune into, another place. Try to channel. Don't think so much.
I got a Casio.
Trust yourself.
I got a Casio keyboard. And I said, I got to learn. I want to learn. And I got the Saints come marching in. And then I went for lessons, and it was a group of us. And the woman was like on speed or Red Bull. She was like, okay, go to the next one. And I'm like a guy, and I was like, wait a minute, time out. I'm the old guy going, bring it back. And I'm like, I need private lessons, but I have a Casio and always wanted to play piano and learn. But yeah, the Saints come marching in with my claim to fame for a while. And
when I started piano, I played Summertime for a year and a half. That's the only song I played. I drove everybody crazy. I was just, riffing on Summertime. You just do it by ear, and then you discover stuff, and you just do what kind of is fun for you.
They always say, pick a song, pick one of your favorite songs.
Yeah.
That's got you motivated and happy, whether it's, whatever it is, and just keep practicing and keep
doing
practicing.
It. Yeah.
Keep practicing.
And of course the blues, I started off on blues. I would just play the blues forever and ever and ever. And it's just such a beautiful form. And that's how you get the dexterity. And then maybe you hear something and you kind of learn that and add that to your repertoire. But it just grows slowly, and then you hear something and it gets more and more challenging, and then you start to scathe. And then you start getting records and slowing them down and figuring out what they did. And then Jimmy Smith. I mean, Jimmy Smith,
oh God,
the god of the Hammond organ. He was really
the best of the best right there.
I would go in and see him at the Village Gate a lot. I would go into the Garrick Theater and see Frank Zappa. Night after night, I saw Frank. When he was just starting out with the Mothers of Invention, that was like amazing. You walk in the theater, and Frank's sitting there on a chair, and he's going like this for 10 minutes, keeping a straight face, and people trying to make him laugh, and people are throwing stuff, and people trying to make him smile. And then he starts his set. I mean, he was an amazing character. But seeing Jimmy Smith too was the go-to guy that every organ player, from all these guys we mentioned, Mark Stein and Felix, and
I think of you, and I think of Steve Walsh with Kansas, always jumping up and down, doing a handstand, and way before these guys had the ones that turn and all that. Back in the 70s when you guys were rocking. I mean, that's what I relate to. And I got to let everybody know, if they're not aware, you were involved with writing Cher's hit. Well, I guess Laura Branigan even did it. I want to say I found someone, but was that you and Michael, or was that just you and Michael?
That was me and Michael.
Yeah, that had to be cool. Cher comes out with some funky looking outfit, thinking what? But hey,
that was a wonderful moment. That was really, that's one of the things I was saying before. You don't know it's going to be career, and then, give the dog a bone. Somebody threw us a bone, and it was.
Do you ever look back, Michael? Mark, that now that we got YouTube, do you ever go back and look at the old video of American Tears or Touch or the Sign, and you go, holy crap, man, look at that. Look what we were doing back then. And how do you feel when you pitch yourself?
Now, I haven't for years, but, the record label's kind of putting together little promotional stuff, and they just put together something and somehow they found some old American Tears thing on YouTube. And I was like, where did you get that? It was like, oh my God. So yeah, I have, as recently as yesterday, seen a couple things.
It brings back a lot of memories, where it all began,
Yeah,
those
You know,
those sessions and playing and
it's the sessions, but it's also the mentality of we were a team of guys who basically took a blood oath with each other that we were going to make it happen. And it was, that's the feeling I get, is that feeling of camaraderie, that we set out to do something and we were so determined to do it. And to a certain extent, we did it. I mean, Touch wasn't, a huge band, but we, in a way, accomplished our goals. So that's the feeling I get more than anything else when I look at that stuff.
And then you got back to American Tears, about 2018, and it's like, seeing your old friends again, right? I mean, it has to be. You walk into the, how does that? No,
they're dead.
Who am I thinking of?
Well, Greg, sadly, there passed away. Greg, the bass player in the second American Tears record, died.
Okay.
In the 70s. I mean, early 80s, long time ago. And I've been looking for Tommy, the drummer, for 30 years. I finally found someone who found him. He moved to New Orleans, and he just passed away last year.
I'm sorry.
Of hepatitis or something like that.
Oh.
Yeah. So
no, I'm thinking of a band that you were involved with. That's like, here we are again.
That's Touch.
Craig and Glenn, and
and Doug Howard. Yeah. But unfortunately, American Tears, the first one was with no budget, basically me in this room creating it. And then we found a label to release it, my God, which is a surprise to me. And then it built. And on this last one, we working with Alex Landenberg from Camelot and Syra. Do you know those bands?
I do not.
Camelot's an amazing kind of goth band, huge. I mean, they sell at stadiums. Amazing drummer. And Barry Sparks on bass on Sledgehammered. Barry's from Yngwie and Dokken.
Okay.
And I think he's playing with Michael Schenker now as well.
Wow,
so,
cool.
American Tears was always virtuoso players. I mean, that's really what it was about. In those days, too, it was, 10-minute bass solos and 10-minute drum solos. And
how would you describe the music scene? You're in Sweden. How is it? I mean, the festivals over there are way more than there's anything over here.
Yeah.
And there's so many bands that break so early in Europe that nobody even knows who they are until they get on like KLOS or somebody big that people go, like Rival Sons. I don't know if you're familiar with Rival Sons.
Oh, yeah. I love
And Europe was like, they toured for 5 years before anybody even heard of them here. Why is that? Why is that scene so different over in Europe?
It's still very big here. It's just not, for some reason, that big in the States. I don't know.
It.
I don't get it either. I don't know why. But besides being the new bands, there's many generic bullshit bands playing old Whitesnake for the 1,000th time, rewriting it, or playing a new Foreigner song that's not Foreigner, but sounds exactly like Foreigner. Or there's a lot of they love the genre, and they're kind of duplicating it, and they're younger guys. And you kind of heard it before, so there's that. But then there's also people trying to give it a new twist and trying to not be generic, American Tears being one of them, trying to maybe reinvent something, because in those days when it was happening, it was new, and you were trying to do something new and trying to define something. You weren't chasing some old genre that existed. You were creating a new genre. So,
gotcha.
I love Rival Sons. I know their producer engineer, Andy Sheps, who's done Lana Del Rey, Rival Sons. I mean, Andy is one of the preeminent producer engineers on the planet right now.
Is it as difficult to try to get an American Tears song right now, set it on fire in Europe, as the challenge in the States, where I'm like a minority of nobody
Oh, much. Yeah, I forget about this. I mean, it's much easier here. You know, people are, I'd say people are interested. There are cult people, you know, I'm going to find out. Let's put it that way, because right now we're with Deko, which is a very US oriented label. Previously, I had been with European labels. So now we're definitely bringing it to the States in a stronger way. So we'll see, you know, who's kind of out there. But I would say the entire genre and rock per se is bigger in Europe and Japan, of course. It's still kind of, you know, they worship bands like Deep Purple and all those Ingve and all those bands. They're still quite huge over there. So
Well, I'm not a big genre guy, although I do the classic rock and keep new music alive. But I will say, I think of you and I think of keyboard rock. If there's a genre, you're the guy that started the whole keyboard rock, because there's nobody that comes close to American Tears back in
thank you.
back when it started. And I am so happy to hear Free Angel Express and cranking it up. And I
Great.
plan on playing
Cool,
the
man.
shit out of it on my station and put it on the rotation and get the people to listen. The artwork, I got to say before I let you go, the artwork, man, I love the train.
Isn't that
I
great?
love the artwork. Is that important to you to try to find something to reflect the content of what you're about to hear? The train's coming. The first song you hear is Sledgehammered, and you go, fasten your seatbelts.
The artwork is like one of my favorite parts of doing records. I just love being involved in that. Stan Decker is the guy who did that.
Beautiful.
Stan Decker, I think, is just the best artist out there. He's doing a lot of stuff. He just did the new Blue Oyster Cult cover. I mean, he does tons of stuff. He is a genius. And you ought to see the sketch I gave him of the cover, that it looked like a 3-year-old made it. And then he made what he made.
And you go, okay, this is it. And you go, wow.
What it was like, it was a scratch by a 4-year-old of a little train with a little, here's the icon of the angel over here, you know, and here's some smoke coming out. And then he did that. Fantastic. He's become a very good friend. Yeah. Google Stan Decker.
I will definitely.
Actually, you know, I don't want him to become too popular, because then,
then everybody's going to get him.
Everybody's going to be too busy for me. But
purge that, cross that out. Well, go and buy it right now. Free Angel Express.
Thank
American Tears. This guy's a legend. He's a pioneer behind the Hammond. Great to have him back. We got to get more people to follow him and hit the Facebook, hit the like button, and buy his great music. Besides playing, he's an incredible songwriter. Look him up. Mark Mangold and it's time, Mark. We got to rock these guys and time to play the video and do a little Sledgehammer. Mark, I hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as
it was great. It was a walk down memory lane as well. So
it's great. And don't forget me with the New Touch album, and we'll chat in a minute.
And say hello to Carmine. Don't forget that. Do you ever talk to Felix?
Oh, yeah. Well, Carmine was playing in the Rascals with Felix. And,
I know.
Gene
Tell Felix, you know, mention Action House to Felix as well. So
I certainly will do that. It
Great
doesn't get any better than this. Pat Soundbytes, IGTV, Mark Mangold, and American Tears. Fasten your seatbelt. It's time to get sledgehammered right now.